Hi, good evening, everyone. Today I'd like to continue with episode 104, where we talk about the layout of three variables. And we used the previous example, but we introduced another slot 7 over here, which is actually an array of mapping. We talk about how the slot number is calculated for a dynamic array and mapping where the value are stored. And in particular, we understand that for dynamic array, the value are stored in another slot, which is going to be calculated by the hash of the slot number of the array. Well, the value of a particular mapping is stored by the hash of the slot number as well as the key. But what about the combination like mapping on mapping, mapping on mapping on mapping, and array of mapping, mapping of array, array of array? They are just use the same idea recursively applied. Okay, and today we are going to show this example, which is dynamic array of mapping. So I introduce a few functions here, which is basically allow us to read a particular map over here. We can specify which map we are reading. So we are using, keep in mind, this first one is the index for map, while the second one is the key for that particular map. In the same way for set map, and we also allow us to create maps over here. Basically, this is the array because this is the array of mapping. So we can dynamically allocate how many mapping we are going to have using the push, which is the element push for dynamic array. And we can actually also delete the whole array. So this is delete the whole array. But one thing very important we are going to show today is we can delete the array, but we are not able to delete the mapping. Okay, we cannot delete the whole mapping table. We can delete a particular mapping, but not a whole mapping table by itself. So that's one major difference between dynamic array and dynamic mapping. We can delete one but not the other. So let's look at the demonstration. Let's say we're going to compile. Let's going to deploy this. I'm going to clean up the previous deployment and then deploy again. And then I'm going to just look at slot 7 right now. So uh, if we read slot 7, right now it's going to be 0, right? Because we don't have any these dynamic arrays have 0 element right now. But if we say create maps, then we are able to create as many mapping as we want. So that's the number of elements for the dynamic array. Let's say we create 3. Oh, not this one, sorry. Uh, mm, let's say, where is it? Okay, the yellow one. So let's say create 3 dynamic mapping. Okay, done. So now if you look at the dynamic array as we expected before, so first of all, slot 7 is actually dynamic array of mapping. So if we go back to the get 7 is going to be 3, okay? But the real mapping is not stored in slot 7, right? And we remember how we calculate. So where it's going to be stored, it's going to be stored in the get hash of 7. So this is where the element is stored. So this is where this address where the 3 mapping is stored. So, but we understand for mapping, we only store placeholder, which is 0. So if you read this from the get, you are not going to read anything except 0. So it's still 0. So the next, so we're going to have a 3 0 at this location. So the next one is 7, the next one is 8. Okay, so this is the first one. So then, but what about the What about if I want to set the mapping, the first mapping, let's say first mapping is set mapping, set map, the first map is 0, and let's say the key is 111, and then the value is 1112. Let's just say 1111. Let's add plus 1. Okay, so differentiate. So this is going to set the value, and we are going to expect the get map 0, 111. We're going to return 111. But the question is, where is 1111 stored? Okay, well, first of all, we are going to know the first mapping is stored right here. So this is the first mapping stored here, but the key. So we're going to, the key is 111, right? And then the first mapping, which is mapping 0, is stored here. Okay, so this will be the value to store 111. Okay, so we're going to calculate that. So this will be the slot to store value for the value corresponding to 1111. So we are going to try and look at that. Okay, let me just make sure. You see? So get a 1111. And then we can also try another case. Just try one more case. Let's say I'm going to do the set map, another map, which is going to be a different map. How about map 2, right? Because we have 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3 mapping. We create 3 mapping. And over here we say mapping 2 to 2, and then we're going to set a value 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. So then we're going to figure out where this is stored. But first of all, let's verify that we indeed get this correct. So 222, and then a key, we can return the value 222. But we need to figure out where 222 is stored. 222 is stored where? We need to figure out that we need to figure out the slot number for the second mapping, mapping 2. But in order to do that, we have to again, first of all, let's go back over here, figure out where mapping is stored. So we're going to use slot 7 to get the array. I'm sorry, to get the over here, this one. So we use 7. So this is where the 3 mapping are stored. So we're going to use this 222, which is the key, and then the slot number for mapping, and this is a mapping 0, but we need to have mapping. This is going to be mapping 1, and then this is going to be mapping 2. So this will be the mapping 2's slot with the key, and then this will give us the slot number for the value for 222. Okay, so we're going to get that. See, so that's where the value is. Now, the next thing I want to show you is we are able to delete the array, but we are not able to delete the mapping unless we delete every mapping by ourselves. So if I say delete maps, immediately you can see the number of elements at the array. For example, slot 7. Let's go back to again. Slot 7, get slot 7 over here. You say let's delete slot 7. Slot 7. Now 0. In other words, we don't have mapping anymore. Okay. However, if you continue to read uh, the this one over here, this is the one we calculate for 222, and the store number for the mapping for mapping 2 and key 222, right? So let's retrieve the value again. It's still 222, it's still there. So that's how it works. It's still there. You're not deleted. And as a matter of fact, even we call set array. Uh, yes. So that's a surprise, right? So that's very much, but that's how it actually works. And as a matter of fact, I believe even get map is still working, right? You don't see any out of array, exception, not like in other language, you don't have a array anymore. How can you still use a get map? Well, because the get map is still just going to use the address, calculate the hash, and then retrieve a value from that particular location. It's just simply read that slot location. So everything is used to calculate that slot, and then there's no clear there. So unless uh, we use the set map over here to change it to 3333, then you can uh, read a value. You still can get the value from the same location. Let me see. So, see, set map. Oh, okay. So set map is, I think, indeed, that's a little interesting over here. That's an interesting experiment. So actually, set map is going to revert because why? Because when it's calculating uh, the uh, the array, it's out of array. We don't have that. We don't have the array number is 0 now, so it's not be able to retrieve the mapping. It's going to say, hey, there's no such mapping anymore. So that's a good that they are doing this check, but they're not doing they are doing the check for the set, and they are not doing check for the get, as you can see over here. You're still able to, hey, okay, well, they are doing better now, so they indeed are able to retrieve this. Okay, so they are doing some protection at the function level. In other words, get map, and the function level. So I think the compiler is doing a good job to do some protection for the particular function. Uh, when you use the get map, they're going to have some dynamic check to make sure the input makes sense. That it's not going to accessing, for example, of the bound of the array. But you still see if I retrieve the value directly from that particular slot, it's still there. Okay, there's no revert. So for the last one, storage get, call to this. So let me just see this a little better. Okay, so in summary, the when we delete the map, the array, dynamic array, the map is not deleted. although there's some protection the getter function so that you cannot use the get map to retrieve the value, but we're still able to use the low-level get function that get the value directly from the corresponding slot, no problem over here. Okay, so that conclude our study of the dynamic array and mapping and their corresponding slot calculation. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.